Good morning, children. Today I will be discussing about the population density. As I told you earlier, what are the factors which affect it? Secondly, I will be also talking about the exceptions where population density is not always considered to measure the population size. Now, let us begin with the first thing. The population increase or decrease can be due to first competition for food, partner, or shelter. Competition means whenever two species or members of the same species are fighting for a common food or partner for reproduction. So that means there will be losses, there can be benefits also. We will be discussing more about in the interaction. Then comes here next, so population will be affected here. Now comes the next thing is environmental factors. There are certain factors like abiotic we discussed earlier, light, etc., which also, if are not favorable, the population density can be low. You can see that in the case of the extreme climate conditions like Antarctica, Arctic, Greenland. You can see it in higher Himalayas or in deserts, Sahara. So, abiotic factors are always a factor which affect the population growth. Second is your natural disasters. Now, disasters are going to occur and they tend to also have a great bearing on the population density. Recently, that was way back in 2013 when the Kedarnath disaster occurred, and it had a bearing on the density of the population also. And in higher reaches of the Himalayas, that happens, and due to that only, there is low density population. Now, coming to the third factor, these are the human caused factors, which are known as to be the anthropological factors or the man made factors. Now, these factors can be the pesticide application, which affects the density of a insect or a pest. Then is the pollutions, which is caused by human made factories, automobiles, etc. So definitely these three factors I have discussed here. There may be more. Then comes your population can be evaluated in any form of change in it. Now, when we talk about the evaluation part, the size of the population can be, suppose we take, it is less than 10 in case of the Siberian cranes at Bharatpur wetlands in a year. They can go to this much. Depends on the conditions, availability of the food, etc. And we can also measure the population in number, like millions of Chlamydomonas in a pond size, more technically called the population density. So there are two forms which we are taking here. Now I'm going to go to the next slide. Always it is not measured in numbers because of certain reasons, and it does not always provide the appropriate number also sometimes. In the case of Parthenium plants which grow in an area along with banyan tree which is having a large canopy. Now here the Parthenium plants will have more density as per number, but it is underestimating the role of the banyan in the community. In this case, the percent cover or the biomass is more meaningful measure of the population size. So if we consider Parthenium density, it will be more in time in case of numbers, but in case of biomass, the banyan tree is going to be more. Another case is here where this number cannot be considered as the measure of the density is bacteria and protozoan population. When we talk about the population size of a bacteria or a protozoa, they tend to reproduce in huge numbers in a short number of time. Say per minute, the bacteria can be grown to hundreds and millions sometimes. So that is going to make the counting almost impossible. So in this condition, the bacterial population cannot be counted exactly. Now we are going to come to another thing and the conclusion part. In certain ecological investigation, we need to know the absolute population density, relative population density. In this condition, the total, for example, the total number of fishes in a pond or a lake can be the number of fish caught per trap. Here we can find the exact number of, almost exact number of fishes in the pond by finding out the per catches or the average of the number of traps or the catches in the marked area inside the lake. What we do is we are going to first of all take the lake and then we are going to divide 4 or 5 places which are equal in dimensions, and then we are going to catch the fishes from these all places. Suppose these are the 5 places we are having 5, 10, 8, 11 or 6. So we are going to divide it by 5 and the number of the catches are going to be there. So that will be the, then we are going to take up the number area and we will say that this number of fishes are present in the lake. Now coming to the tiger population. Tiger population is actually measured by counting the pug marks and the fecal pellets which are found in the area. So in the ecological terms, as I told you, in ecological investigation, when we need to have an absolute or the relative population, so these are going to give the relative population size. These two examples which just now we discussed, the fish example and the tiger example. Now children, we are going to come to the next part, that is your individual attributes of the organisms. Recently we discussed about the population density and the population attributes. Now what are the individual attributes? Individual attributes are the birth, death, sex of an individual, male or female, the age of an individual. So birth means whenever somebody is born at a particular place, so it is its own individual trait. Now coming to the finding the population, finding the change in the population, how we can find the change in the population. The density of the population in a given habitat during a period of time period fluctuates due to changes in 4 basic processes. Now first is the birth rate, that is the natality rate. Second is the mortality rate or the death rate per 1,000 per individuals per year. Then immigration means the number of individuals immigrating, coming in, I for in. So the persons who are coming inside a population or a particular area or a habitat of the same species. Now immigration, we talk about the exit of individuals of same species from the habitat. So these all are going to have a bearing. Apart from that, sometimes the abiotic factor also are considered. Now comes to the next thing. Here n is the population density and t the time. Suppose we take like, so nt plus 1, that is the population density at a time added to 1. Suppose it is 1 year and we are going to, this is 1 year, then 1 year is added, so it becomes 2 year. So in 2 years, what is the population of the certain area? So it will be nt plus b plus I minus d minus e. Now what is nt? Nt is the population density of that time, plus birth rate, immigration, because somebody has come to the habitat and already the birth are taking place. We will be adding these two. Then we will be subtracting the death and the immigration, the person left and who died. We have to minus it or we have to subtract it. Now there is another graph which is given in your book and the method. So I will explain it to you. Immigration, whenever somebody is adding the population density, to the population density. Natality means the birth rate or the positive rate which have been added here again. It is known as to be the population density. Then comes your mortality rate, means those have left or they have been subtracted. Immigration again is the leaving, so it comes under negative. So here what we have drawn here, same thing is done by the equation. We can take this equation to find out the total density of a population. Hope you understood. Now coming to the next is, under normal conditions, birth and deaths are the most important factors, assuming importance for new habitat being colonized. Now, sometimes what happens is there is a place like in America, what happened? People went there from outside Europe, etc., in the 17th and the 18th century, and they colonized it, and the population grew of a certain group of races. So, that was emigration and from Europe and immigration to America, North America. So immigration also contributes to the birth rate. Now children, we are going to come to the growth models. There are two types of growth models which we are going to learn here. And what does they do? We can predict the pattern of growth of a population or decline by the help of growth models. Now there are two such growth models. One is your exponential model of growth, and other is the logistic model of the growth. So there are two models, the exponential model and the logistic growth model. Now what is exponential growth model? Now it represents the growth of a population in exponential way or the geometric way. Now we are going to discuss more about it. Now here the density or the size of the population is taken as n. This is the growth model graph that I have drawn for you. It is against the time, population density against the time. K is the carrying capacity, means the capacity of a certain area or habitat to support a population in terms of resources as well as shelter. Now dn by dt, d here represents the delta, which is the small time, the small number of growth. It is to Rn. R is the intrinsic rate of growth and N is the density. So when we are going to look after it, dN by dt equal to Rn represents the exponential growth. Now what are the characters of the growth? First of all, we will one by one we are going to take up this. First is the responses are not limiting the growth. Plot is called to be exponential. The plot which we have drawn here, this plot is exponential. This is J-shaped. Here you see the population increasing and increasing and increasing. Now comes the next is the resources are unlimited. That is why the food and shelter and the partners are unlimited. So the population will be increasing. Third is the population grows in exponential or the geometric fashion. Then comes your J-shaped geometric fashion, means 2 raised to power n. Like if it was 2, then it will be 2 into 2 is 4, 2 into 2 into 2 is going to be there, 2 into 2, 4 into 2 is equal to 8. So that is how the population will grow. Then comes the third one. It is a J-shaped curve, as I told you earlier. And crosses the carrying capacity. It crosses the carrying capacity. Means the carrying capacity is going to be more, I should say more to this. Now comes here the last one, the fifth one is there, and then enormous population density at a very short time. Means the population density will be more at a particular time, short time. Now last sixth one is, it is a non-realistic growth. Now it is represented by the equation dn by dt equal to b minus d into n. What is b? B is the birth, d is the death, into, that is multiplied by n. That is the density. Now let b minus d equal to r. Suppose we are going to take up the reproductive capacity or r, intrinsic rate of growth, as r, to be the birth minus death rate. So it comes out to be dn by dt equal to Rn. Now what is n? already told you, population density, T is time, B is birth rate, D is death rate, R is the intrinsic rate of natural increase. It is also termed as to be the reproductive fitness or given by the Darwin. Now children, by calculus we can derive a formula here. Nt at a time, the density is equal to n naught means, or n0 means the population density at time 0, it is given here, and E is the base of natural logarithm, and R is going to be the intrinsic rate of growth or the rate of natural increase, and T is the time. So we discussed here this formula also you can take up. Actually numericals are not that much in your course, but in the higher classes you will know more about this. Now coming to the second type of growth, here we are talking about logistic growth curve. Here the responses are limiting and the plot is known as to be logistic. K is the carrying capacity. When we talk about the responses are limiting, that means after a time the population growth will not be as same as it was earlier, or it will become stationary. So I have drawn a curve here for you, and to population to time. So here there is a carrying capacity, and the organism will grow. First it will be a lagging growth, meaning it will be the growth is not going to be as increased as you see here, and as the time passes the growth will be more because it is under the carrying capacity. When it has reached the carrying capacity, the growth will be stationary phase, means it will stop. There will be a competition of food as well as resources, so the population will come to a standstill. So there are three phases here. Lag phase, where the population growth is as a decrease rate, and when it has taken up to a certain number, it will increase heavily. This is known as to be the exponential phase or log phase, and then there will be a stationary phase when the carrying capacity has been reached. This curve is also known as to be sigmoid or the logistic curve, and Verlistic Pearl growth curve. Now characters. The first character is the resources are limited here. Second is the competition for the food, shelter, breeding more as resources are limited. Means competition is more as resources are limited. Now comes the fittest individual is going to survive. Then the sigmoid curve, it is known as to be sigmoid. As you see, it is S-shaped. Then comes your limited carrying capacity, beyond which no further growth of population will take place. Now last is, it is realistic growth curve. Now we are going to come to the equation. Now the logistic growth curve, also called Verlust-Pearl logistic growth, the scientists who have discovered this, the equation is dn by dt equal to Rn k minus n by k. And already I told you, it is density, T is the time, R is the intrinsic rate of growth, then K is the carrying capacity. So K minus n by K is there, which is going to represent it. Now n equal to the population density and size. This you can find out for finding a logistic growth. Now children, we are going to come to the life history variations. What is life history variation? Every organism which is living here, it is actually under the selection pressure. Darwin has said that Darwin gave the survival of the fittest theory and states that only the fittest organism is going to survive, and due to selection pressure, organism evolved towards most efficient reproductive methods or strategies. Now what they do is they try to maximize reproductive fitness, which is known as to be Darwinian fitness or the high R value, in the habitat they live. So how they do so, I'm going to explain with the help of the examples. Now children, let us take the example. Some organisms breed once in their lifetime, like the Pacific salmon and the bamboo. Then they die. Then oysters are there and pelagic fishes are there. Pelagic fishes which live in the middle of the in the sea or ocean. Now they produce large number of small sized offsprings to compensate the loss of the offsprings to the predators and etc. Now comes the mammals and the birds. Many time during their lifetime, they breed many times. I forgot to write breed. So they breed many times during their lifetime, and they reproduce large size, small number of offsprings. Means the number will be less, but the size will be more, as in the case of the humans you have seen, and in the case of the elephant also. The conclusion is organisms have evolved in relation to constraints imposed by abiotic and biotic components of the habitat in which they live. So I will be ending my lecture here only, and next time we are going to take up the interaction between organisms. Thank you, children. Hope you have